If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
So yay, Sonoma was this weekend, and we got a bit of a throwback to the original layout, going back to the 1.9 layout with the chute instead of doing the carousel. To be honest, I think the 1.9 mile layout is a lot better than that carousel layout that the Cup Series has done at Sonoma the last couple years. So we're back to the track layout they had all the way up to 2018. So yeah, that's good. Before we talk about what happened in the Cup race and a lot of the history that was made today at Sonoma, in Fox's last race of the season, thank fucking God this was Fox's last race this season, because their coverage this year has been fucking ass. Like, it was just complete fucking garbage. But yeah, anyway, there are a lot of other races we gotta talk about, because we had a jam-packed weekend of racing. A lot of the NASCAR series were in action this weekend. So let's start off. So first for this review, we're gonna start all the way off across the pond to the Euro Series at Brands Hatch in England. So yeah, this was a race for the much part of Brands Hatch. This race was dominated by Alon Day. As Alon Day, he had a really strong run in the race. And Alon Day, he would go on and cruise to his second win of the season, winning at Brands Hatch. And I believe that's his 6th win at Brands Hatch. So yeah, Alon Day has figured Brands Hatch out pretty well. So Alon Day gets his 2nd win of the year. So yeah, that's actually the 3rd race the Euro Series has ran this year, because the first 2 races they ran, it was the weekend that the Penny Series opened up at Sunset, a race I was at. And I have a vlog for that, so if you want to go check that out, go for it. So yeah, Alon Day making his case for the championship in the Euro Series this year, winning 2 of the first 3 races. So yeah, Alon Day looking to hold on to the championship there. So yeah, next up, we go to the ARCA West race at Sonoma. Yes, there was an ARCA West race at Sonoma this weekend as well. And this race, shockingly, did not have any Cup leeches in it. It had a couple Cup drivers, but they're truck series drivers, but they were drivers that pretty much needed the experience and were just fresh in the truck series, so yeah, fair play. But throughout much of this race for the most part was dominated from start to finish by Jake Drew. Despite a late effort from Colby Howard, who was one of the Truck Series regulars in the race, it still wasn't enough. And then Colby would pretty much end the race by causing a big pileup, taking out Landon Lewis and many others in a multi-car crash. And which, with that crash happening, the amount of cleanup they needed for it, it would actually force the ARCA West race to hit the TV time limit, because after that race they still had Cup practice and qualifying, and then you had the truck race later on. So yeah, there was some TV time constraints there. So in the end, they called the race with around 6 to go, meaning that Jake Drew gets his 2nd career win in the ARCA West Series. So now Jake Drew, he follows up his 1st career win at Portland last week with another win at Sonoma. So yeah, Jake Drew has been a fairly good driver on these road courses. So now Jake Drew has won back-to-back races in the ARCA West Series, as Jake Drew is looking to really be the championship favorite in the ARCA West Series this year, putting a stranglehold on that championship, with many of his other championship rivals having issues today, especially his teammate Tanner Reif. So yeah, Jake Drew making his case for the ARCA West title. Now we're going to shift to Canada and go to the Penny Series. And yes, this was a Penny Series race I was not in attendance for, because it's all the way up in Quebec at Chaudière Autodrome. So yeah, the race started off with LP Dumoulin dominating the early part. And throughout much of this race for the most part was dominated by DJ Kennington. But Kennington would have a late charge from the GM Paillet cars of Andrew Ranger and Marc-Antoine Cameron. Trey Lapsevich, who looked like he had a good run going, he ended up retiring after an engine failure. That sucks for him. That's going to be a big blow to him in the championship. And then with around 50 to go, Andrew Ranger will get a great restart on the outside ahead of DJ Kennington and will get the lead from Kennington. And then despite some late cautions, including some issues with points leader Kevin Lacroix, and then a late wreck between JP Bergeron and TJ Renamoto that forced the Penny's race to go to overtime. So yeah, first 3 Penny Series races of the season, we have 3 straight overtimes to open the Penny Series season. And in overtime, Andrew Ranger would get a launch, and then there was an incident that happened on the last lap, but they didn't show any real TV replays of it. Unless TSN got better angles of it, because I was watching the race on Flow Racing, not TSN. But in the end, the caution would come out on the last lap, and that would open the door for Andrew Ranger to get his first win of the season. And GM Paillet gets a 1-2 finish, because it's GM Paillet Racing's first win in the Penny Series. So yeah, Andrew Ranger has had his fair share with brand new teams in the series. He got Rick Ware Racing their first win in the Penny Series. And now he gets GM Paillet their first win in the Penny Series. Cameron getting second, and then DJ Kennington ending up third. And a race that looked like he had in the bag until some late cautions came out. That's just the Penny Series for you. A lot of parity in the series. And yeah, Andrew Ranger, he finally had something good happen to him, because that 27 car Chevy he's been in, he has had a rough season so far the first 2 races of the year. You know, he had a very bad run at Sunset and then at Canadian Tire. Well, Canadian Tire, he was running around top 5, and then he had the rear axle go. And actually, I believe Reekster, shout out to him, he pointed this out when he was talking to one of the 2017 mechanics, saying that Andrew Ranger's car, it's one of DJ Kennington Racing's old cars that Andrew used to race in, that Andrew fucking despised, that caused a lot of issues. So yeah, Andrew Ranger won in a car that he fucking hates. And Kane Lapsevich is building a new car, his crew chief is building a new car that Andrew's probably going to have by mid-season that's more fitted and more suitable to Andrew's liking and driving style. So if Andrew's this good in a car he hates, imagine what he can do this year in a car that he fucking likes, is more up his wheelhouse and alley. So yeah, Andrew Ranger might have struggled at the start of the year, but I think the second half of this season, I think we're going to see Andrew Ranger make a run at this championship the second half of the year. You know, by mid-season. By mid-season, I think Ranger will be a title contender this year. But yeah. And also, Andrew Ranger has now won in every single manufacturer in the Penny Series. He's won in a Ford, he's won in a Dodge, and now he's won in a Chevy. He's got the Grand Slam in the Penny Series. So yeah, Andrew Ranger, congrats to him. So yeah, as this year's Penny Series season's looking to be an absolute fucking bloodbath. And I can't wait for it. So yeah, anyway, now let's shift back to the Truck Series at Sonoma. Well, Truck Series at Sonoma happened, and well, remember last week I said don't drink the Kyle Busch going winless Kool-Aid, because I told you what would happen the moment you do it. And in the truck race, look what happened. A race dominated and won by Kyle Busch. And this was Kyle Busch's 5th and final truck race this season. So yeah, Kyle Busch, he gets the win at Sonoma to end his year in the Truck Series. So he wins only 1 of the 5 truck races that he entered. So yeah, just so close to going winless. And I had a feeling it was Darian from aka Black Flags Matter that had something to do with this. You really had to deny the Kyle Busch haters at this moment, didn't you? Didn't you? So yeah, folks, what did we learn from this? Never drink the Kool-Aid. It will always backfire on you every time. So yeah, and it's also funny how everyone complains about Kyle Busch winning in trucks, but when Ross Chastain and William Byron won in trucks, nobody complained about it. Hell, same deal in Xfinity this year when Cole Custer and Tyler Reddick won in Xfinity this year. Nobody complained about it. So I'm wondering how... But I think the main reason everybody complains about it, about Kyle Busch winning in trucks and Xfinity, but not anybody else, is because Kyle does it all, wins all the goddamn time. Because everybody likes a winner, but nobody likes someone that just flat out dominates and bitch slaps the field nearly every single week. And no, Kyle Busch haters, do not even pull up because all the other guys aren't massive douchebags like Kyle Busch. Do not even pull that excuse. That is just a fucking cop-out to hide the truth. So yeah, Honestly, a lot of NASCAR fans are fucking hypocrites. They'll complain when Kyle Busch wins in Xfinity and trucks, but when it's anybody else, it's not a problem. Just gonna leave that there. I do not want to hear any more excuses until you give me a real reason, and don't feed me the Kyle Busch is a douchebag excuse. That's a cop-out. That's just a cop-out and the easy way out of not telling the truth. But yeah, anyway, to the next race. Next up, we got the ARCA race at Iowa, which is also a joint race with the ARCA East Series. So all 3 series of ARCA competed this week. So yeah, the first part of this race, it was dominated by Jesse Love. But within the first 40 laps, Sammy Smith, who had to start at the rear of the field after unapproved adjustments, not only did he start at the rear of the field, but within 40 laps, he went from the rear to the lead within 40 laps, and then Sammy Smith would dominate much of this race. The only reason mainly Sammy did that was because the competition ARCA is about as diluted as my fucking piss. It's way more fucking diluted than Xfinity and trucks. It's fucking terrible in ARCA. That's just ARCA for you. That's so ARCA. But yeah, Sammy Smith dominated for the most part, but in the end, despite the best efforts, it still wouldn't be enough to stop Brandon Jones, as Brandon Jones went into another ARCA race, and then Brandon Jones would go on and win at Iowa in the ARCA series. So wow, Brandon Jones now has won 2 ARCA races this season. Wow. That's so impressive. That's still like winning gold at the Special Olympics, Brandon. Wake me up when you actually do something productive in Xfinity. Maybe if you win back-to-back Xfinity races, we might take him a little serious. Since he's pretty meh in Xfinity. But yeah, Brandon Jones gets another ARCA win. I still fail to find a part in that where I'm supposed to be impressed. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next race. We now go back to the Euro Series, because the Euro Series does doubleheaders every weekend they run. So to the second race at Brands Hatch. Well, Alon Day dominated the early part of the race, but then he would have some issues late that would make him finish deep in the field, which in the end, that opened the door up for Alexander Graf to get his first career win in the Euro Series. So now Alexander Graf is the winner in the NASCAR Wheeling Euro Series. So yeah, congrats to Graf on getting this first career win. And that win also helps him out in the points, because now he can make a solid argument for the championship this year. As it seems like for the Euro Series this year, it's looking like it's going to be a 3-man battle for the championship between Nicolo Rocca, Alon Day, and Alexander Graf. It's going to be between one of those 3, and I expect a bloodbath out of those 3. And I should also mention for ARCA East that with Sammy Smith finishing second and Taylor Gray finishing deep in the field, Sammy Smith pulls away in the ARCA East Championship over Sammy. Over Taylor. So yeah, Sammy Smith makes his case to win the ARCA East title this year. So yeah, ARCA East doesn't compete for another 2 months, and I think that next race is going to be a joint race with ARCA in Milwaukee. So yeah. But yeah, that's the Euro Series competing this weekend. So yeah, it's 4 races down, 8 to go for the Euro Series. And we have a 3-man battle for the championship there, so that's going to be fun to enjoy. Now we head to the IndyCar race at Road America. Well, the IndyCar race at Road America, the first part of this race, it was mainly with Alex Rossi, but Joseph Newgarden just had a very fast car and got to the lead on strategy. And then once Newgarden got the lead, Newgarden never looked back. Despite best efforts from Marcus Ericsson and Alex Rossi, it still wasn't enough to stop Joseph Newgarden, despite a number of late cautions late in the race. And even Will Power having some run-ins in the race. But it still wasn't enough, as Joseph Newgarden wins at Road America, gets redemption over losing the race last year on strategy. Gets redemption as Newgarden makes his case for the championship. And Marcus Ericsson gets another solid points run and moves back to the championship lead over Will Power. Well, so much for Will Power getting the points lead last week. Well, that was fun while it lasted. So yeah, Newgarden trying to make his case for the championship. But Marcus Ericsson really picking up where he left off after winning the Indy 500 this year. So yeah, could Marcus Ericsson finally win a championship this year? That would be something, that's for sure. But yeah, and now we get to the main event, the Cup race at Sonoma on the old layout. So the first stage of this race, it was completely all Kyle Larson. Larson led in every lap in stage 1 to win. And then the second stage on is when the 5 team fell apart, mainly because they botched the strategy call, because they had the car to win this race. But Cliff Daniels completely botched the strategy by choosing the 5 team got way too greedy. Because they should have pitted with 3 to go at the field and go for the win instead of stage points. They should have just went for the win and played it safe. And then stage 2, they did choose to pit with 3 to go instead of going for stage points. It's like, I mean, if you're going to go for stage points at stage 1, you may as well do the same thing for stage 2. Like, Cliff Daniels completely botched the strategy up. So then stage 2, it was all Chase Elliott with Chris Buescher running second. And then Suarez there too. And then when the pit stops came with 3 to go in stage 2, oh boy, we had the 9 team once again. A vintage tradition for the 9 team. Shooting themselves in the foot when they have a chance to win. Because as Chase Elliott was leaving the box, the 9 team recognized that he had a loose left rear wheel, and they told Chase Elliott to back up. So Chase backs up into the box, and then it fixed the tire. And then we have a penalty. Beep. As Chase Elliott, it turned out, had his front splitter outside the pit box, which counts as pitting outside the pit box. But since it was at the end of stage 2 that this penalty occurred, it meant for stage 3, Chase Elliott had to start at the tail end of the longest line for stage 3. Also, Logano went on and won stage 2. Woof. So yeah, we have 4 guarantees in life: death, taxes, access to free porn, and the 9 teams shooting themselves in the foot again. Are you sure Alan Gustafson is the problem, Chase Elliott fans? Because I feel like firing Alan Gustafson would solve nothing. I think the rabbit hole is a lot deeper than that. And let's be real, do not even blame the front splitter for this. And don't even try blaming NASCAR for this, because it's not their fault. This is 100% on Chase Elliott and the 9 team. That entire team is to blame for this. Chase Elliott's at fault for this because he wasn't aware of where his car was in the pit box. And the rest of the 9 team is at fault because they didn't tell Chase Elliott he was still outside the box and tell him to back up a little further. So that entire 9 team is at fault. They blew it. They had this race in the bag and they blew it. So then stage 3, it opened up the door for Daniel to have it be mainly a 3-car battle between Suarez, Buescher, and Michael McDowell for the win throughout much of stage 3. Harvick looked like he was going to have a shot to win this race until the 4 team had pit road issues, which then led to Kevin Harvick calling the 4 team a bunch of fucking wankers. Calling a Stewart-Haas team a bunch of wankers? Are we sure that was Kevin Harvick in the car and not Gunther Steiner? It seems like Harvick is now slowly entering the Gunther Steiner phase of his career. Yeah, it's crazy. 2 years ago, the 4 team looked like a bunch of rock stars. Now 2 years later, they look like a bunch of fucking wankers. I think that's a good Gunther Steiner impersonation right there, wouldn't you say? But anyway, also during the final round of pit stops, we then get the turning point in this race with a late race caution. When after Kyle Larson's pit stop, the right front wheel falls right off the car. And that tire was on the track, so that is a full course caution. Yeah, I think a lot of fans want the 5 lug nut tires back. Let's be real, the single lug nut tire experiment has been a massive disaster. Like, how many fucking times have we had a tire fall off with the single lug nut tires? Everyone thought this was going to fix the loose lug nut problem. It just made it worse. This single lug nuts was a massive mistake. And here's the thing about IMSA, IndyCar, and F1. It only works, the single lug nuts only work on those cars, because those cars are a lot lighter than a 3,500-pound stock car. Those cars are more fitted for single lug nut tires. A 3,500-pound stock car isn't. NASCAR needs to change it back to 5 lug nuts. But I'm expecting NASCAR to do nothing about this and just let the problem intensify. NASCAR will wait until the damage is done before making the right changes, because that's just the NASCAR way. But yeah, with Kyle Larson losing that wheel, it means that Larson's now about to lose Cliff Daniels, the front tire changer, and the Jackman for 4 races, since that's a 4-race suspension. Yeah, this 5 team needs to figure something out the second half of the year. Unless HMS is just treating every race from here on out till September as tested tune-up sessions for the chase. That's like the only way that's the only way they could justify the struggles, is if every race from here on out is just a test and tune-up session. But yeah, despite those late cautions, Daniel Suarez would still hold firm in the lead ahead of Chris Buescher. And Daniel Suarez, he would end up going on, and Suarez would finally, he would pull away for Buescher, and Daniel Suarez finally does it, as Suarez finally gets his first career win at winning at Sonoma. So Daniel Suarez is officially a winner in the NASCAR Cup Series. Suarez has finally done it. From a driver that was rushed up the cup way too quickly because of Carl Edwards' son retirement, was kicked out of Joe Gibbs Racing after 2 seasons for Martin Truex Jr., and then he was kicked out of Stewart-Haas Racing after 1 season for Cole Custer, and then spent a season running with the Gaunt brothers. Looked like his career was dead in the water. And then he goes to Trackhouse Racing. Ends up in a good situation, and now in his 2nd season with Trackhouse, he gets his first career win. So yeah, I always felt like Suarez could do something. I think he was rushed up way too quickly. And the Cup Series. That's why he struggled at JGR and why he struggled at SHR. And it's also kind of relieving to see Suarez do better than Cole Custer. Custer being the guy that replaced Suarez at SHR. Since Custer's leaning more toward a bust, but Suarez, he's been more meh so far in his career. Like, he's had a resurgence at Trackhouse. Had some really good runs with the team last year and including this year. And Suarez finally did it. So yeah, Suarez makes history with this win. So Suarez, he becomes the fifth foreign driver to win a Cup race, joining Mario Andretti. And if anyone's wondering, wait, how is Andretti a foreign winner when he was American? Actually, even though he grew up in much America, he was born and raised in Italy to start his career. So yeah, he joins Mario Andretti, Juan Pablo Montoya out of Colombia, Earl Ross out of Canada, and Marcus Ambrose out of Australia as the 5 foreign Cup winners in the Cup Series. Suarez also becomes the first Mexican driver to win a Cup Series race, and he's also the first foreign driver to win a race since Australia's Marcus Ambrose at Watkins Glen in 2012, 10 years ago. And with Daniel Suarez winning the race, Suarez now joins Juan Pablo Montoya as the 2nd foreign driver to make the Cup Series chase. So yeah, something that we felt should have happened a long time ago has happened. Suarez has finally won a Cup race. Like, we all saw the talent with Suarez in Xfinity, especially when Suarez became the first Latin American driver to win an Xfinity championship in 2016. So yeah, it took a long... Hey, sometimes some drivers just take longer to develop than others. It happens, you know? Everybody learns and adapts differently. But yeah, Suarez gets his first career win and makes the chase. Something you love to see. So yeah, Suarez gets a win, and that's kind of a good way to end the season with Fox. As in 2 weeks, when we go to Nashville in 2 weeks, we'll be heading to the NBC portion of the year. Yay! So we finally get good TV coverage, the good stuff, instead of Fox's ass coverage. Like, the only thing Fox got right in this race was showing Daniel's amigos in the crowd. That's like the only appropriate time to show fans in the crowd is if it's a certain section. Not peeping on a bunch of fucking little kids ad nauseum, like some closet fucking pedophile. Like I'm convinced that Joseph Lombard must be part of that Fox camera crew, cause come on, that's getting fucking sus. Or maybe Herbert the pervert's the fucking cameraman. But yeah, Fox really needs to get their shit together. Like, I'll say this for NASCAR. If Fox doesn't have their shit together by the time the next TV contract expires, do not even renew with them. If Fox doesn't improve and NASCAR still re-signs the TV contract with them, then it shows NASCAR does not care about growing the sport. And this is that would be pretty sad considering how much NASCAR will be in the national headlines with this win. Having a Mexican driver win a race. Like, so far, Mexican drivers have done very well in motorsports because you have Sergio Perez, who's won a couple races in F1 this year, and he's second in the F1 championship this year. And then you got Pato O'Ward, who's won a couple IndyCar races and is a championship contender in IndyCar. And now Daniel Suarez. Now, whether Suarez could be a championship contender like those other two in their respective series, that's yet to be seen. The pieces are there, but maybe whether Suarez becomes a title contender or not, time will tell there. But yeah, congrats to Daniel Suarez. Congrats to all the Mexican NASCAR fans on finally having a Mexican driver win a Cup Series race. So yeah, NASCAR's in the national headlines in the media for the right reasons this time. All I say to NASCAR is don't fuck this one up. You got a chance to really be in the spotlight for the right reasons. Don't fuck this opportunity up. So yeah, that's good to see. And of course some NASCAR also hinting that the 2023 schedule could come out in August. So yes, I will be doing a reaction video to when the schedule comes out. So yeah, there's that. And they've been hinting at maybe some international dates and maybe some street races. Mainly some international races in track countries like Mexico and Canada. I mean, for Canada, I might be doing a video on a case on making NASCAR come to Canada. And there are 3 tracks I think are good for it. And you will know about those tracks when I talk about it. But yeah, and I believe for Mexico, the only option for Mexico would be the Autodrome racetrack. Autodrome racetrack that F1 races at. That would be the only good option for racing in Mexico for the Cup Series. But yeah. Still, congrats to Suarez getting his first career win. So yeah, and it's a good way to head into the only off week of the year. So yeah, next week is an off week for the Cup Series. But there are other racing series because there's an ARCA race next week. And there's also the truck race at Knoxville next week on the Knoxville dirt track. And also SRX returns next week. So yeah, I got SRX next week. And there's also F1 making their return to Canada. So you got that too. No, I'm not going to the F1 race in Canada. Montreal's way too far of a drive for me. That might drive from where I lived in Montreal, that's like almost 8.5 hours. And I'm trying to save up, for the IndyCar race in Toronto in July, along with the Penny Series race in Toronto. So yeah. But yeah, what a weekend. A lot of history was made with Suarez's win. So yeah, congrats to Daniel Suarez. Congrats to all of Daniel's amigos. And yeah, on to the off week next weekend. Yes, I am doing a video on the truck race at Knoxville, along with ARCA and SRX. So you have that to look forward to. And of course, I will talk about the F1 races at Baku and Canada in Days of Our Mercedes. See, anyway, that'll wrap it up here on action-packed weekend of racing. A lot of racing happened this weekend. But yeah, in terms of Cup Series, see you all in 2 weeks. Gonna enjoy the off week. But yeah, for NASCAR reviews, we'll have Knoxville next week for Truck Series. So yeah, see you all later. And the NASCAR Heavyweight Chip is out. Congrats to all the amigos.